As we grow older, life takes on a different rhythm. The hustle and rush that once defined our days slowly fade away, replaced by a quiet longing for peace and meaning. At this stage, it's no longer about how busy we are or how many people we can impress. Instead, it's about protecting our hearts and minds, preserving our well-being, and surrounding ourselves with those who truly respect and value us. But here's the truth many of us come to realize: not everyone deserves a place in our golden years. Even some family members, those we once trusted implicitly, can drain our energy and disrupt our peace. It becomes clear that choosing who we allow close to us isn't selfish, it's necessary. Learning to set boundaries and distance ourselves from toxic relationships is one of the most important gifts we can give ourselves. Today, let's explore the 7 types of people that every senior should avoid, so you can keep your heart light and your mind at ease. Because your peace is precious, and your golden years deserve nothing less than genuine love and respect. If you are not subscribed, subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. There comes a time in everyone's life when the little things start to mean the most. A warm cup of coffee in the morning, a soft breeze through an open window, a quiet afternoon spent with someone who listens. But for so many seniors, these gentle pleasures can be overshadowed by a deeper ache, the sting of being unappreciated by those you care for the most. You see, as the years pass, many of us find ourselves pouring our love, our time, and our best intentions into the people we cherish, hoping, sometimes even expecting, a little gratitude in return. It's a natural human wish to feel seen and valued. Maybe you spend hours in the kitchen, hands moving with the familiar rhythm of recipes learned decades ago, preparing a special meal for your grown children. You remember how, when they were young, a simple plate of pancakes or their favorite casserole would light up their faces. Now, though, things seem different. The food is still warm, the love still poured into every bite, but instead of hearing, "Thank you, Mom, this is just like I remember," you're met with complaints that the meal isn't quite right, or worse, silence that feels as cold as the leftovers. Or perhaps you're the dependable friend in your circle, the one people call when they need a ride to the doctor, help with the groceries, or a sympathetic ear on a lonely day. You show up, time and again, thinking that kindness given will be kindness returned. Yet after you've given up your afternoon or rearranged your plans, there's no message of thanks, not even a quick phone call. You're left wondering if your effort was invisible, if your time was somehow less valuable than theirs. This kind of ingratitude cuts deeper than most people realize. It's not just about the missing "thank you." It's about the feeling of being taken for granted, as if all those small sacrifices, those hours, those meals, those favors, are expected rather than cherished. Over time, that feeling can grow heavy, weighing on your heart until you start to question why you even try so hard at all. The truth is, it can make you feel invisible, even in a room full of your own family or lifelong friends. But here's a lesson that only time and experience can truly teach. Someone else's lack of gratitude does not define your worth. Your kindness, your effort, and your love are real, even if others refuse to acknowledge them. Just because someone is too busy, too self-absorbed, or simply too careless to say thank you doesn't mean that what you do isn't meaningful. It is. And it always has been. Still, it's important to protect your peace. One of the hardest, yet most liberating lessons in later life is learning when to pull back. Setting boundaries is not about bitterness or closing yourself off. It's about recognizing that your energy and time are precious, and that you deserve to spend them with people who truly value you. If you find yourself pouring love into a bottomless well, it's not wrong to step back. It's not cruel to reserve your special efforts for those who notice and appreciate them. Imagine shifting your focus just a little. Instead of spending all your effort trying to please those who are impossible to satisfy, think about the people in your life who consistently show gratitude, no matter how small the gesture. Maybe it's the neighbor who never fails to thank you for a batch of cookies, who smiles with genuine warmth every time you meet at the mailbox. Perhaps it's a friend who calls, not because they need a favor, but simply to say how much your soup meant to them when they weren't feeling well. Or maybe it's your grandchild, the one who hugs you tight after a family meal and whispers, "I love you, Grandma," as if that love is the most natural thing in the world. It is these moments, these people, who deserve the best of you. When you choose to give your time and energy to those who truly appreciate it, something magical happens. The heaviness that comes from being overlooked starts to fade, replaced by a sense of joy and contentment. You realize that kindness, when given freely but wisely, returns to you in the most unexpected ways. In the warmth of a smile, the comfort of a shared story, the feeling of being truly seen. For many older adults, this shift is not easy. It can feel like a betrayal to distance yourself from family members or old friends, even when they fail to show you the basic respect you deserve. But you are not obligated to keep serving those who only drain your spirit. The love you've given over a lifetime, raising children, supporting spouses, building friendships, should not be a burden you carry alone. You have every right to surround yourself with people who cherish you, who see the beauty in your presence and the effort behind your actions. So, if you ever catch yourself feeling exhausted, unappreciated, or quietly resentful after yet another thankless favor, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, who in your life really sees you? Who lights up when you walk in the room? Who listens when you speak? Who returns kindness with kindness? These are the relationships worth nurturing as you move forward. Remember, your golden years are not a time to shrink yourself or hide your light. They are a time to honor all that you have given, and to make sure that you, too, are treated with the respect and gratitude you deserve. So don't be afraid to say no to the ungrateful. Don't hesitate to step back from those who only take. Instead, invest in the people who remind you how good it feels to be appreciated, and let the rest fall away. Your heart will be lighter, your mind will be at ease, and you'll rediscover the quiet joy that comes from being truly valued. As we age, we often hope that life will grow simpler, that the storms we weathered raising families, paying bills, and building a life will finally settle into a gentle, dependable rhythm. We dream of days when our biggest worries are what to have for breakfast or which book to read on the porch. But too often, old patterns from younger years follow us into our golden age, especially when it comes to the people in our lives who never seem to grow up. There's a certain heartbreak that comes with watching someone you love make the same mistakes over and over again. Maybe it's your adult child, a person you nurtured and cheered for, who now drifts through life with a recklessness you never expected. They spend their paycheck as soon as it comes in, fall behind on rent, and somehow, just when you've gotten comfortable, your phone rings with a shaky voice on the other end. "Mom, Dad, I just need a little help, just this once." But you know, deep down, it's never just once. The story is always the same. Promises to pay you back, to do better, to finally grow up. You want to believe them. You remember their first steps, their first heartbreak, the hundreds of little moments you supported them through. How could you say no now, when they're struggling? Or perhaps it's a cousin, a nephew, or even an old friend. They show up at your door, suitcase in hand and a hopeful look in their eyes, asking to stay for just a few nights until they get back on their feet. You welcome them, telling yourself that you'd want someone to do the same for you. But days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and you watch as your quiet, orderly life slips out of your hands. You notice little things at first, missing groceries, rearranged furniture, late-night noise, but eventually, you realize you're tiptoeing around your own home. You start to feel invisible, your needs always coming second to theirs. People like this, the irresponsible ones, can be the hardest to turn away, especially when they are family or have been part of your life for decades. You remember all the good times, the laughter, the feeling of being needed. But as the years pass, you begin to see a pattern. They keep making poor choices, and you keep paying the price. There is an enormous weight that comes with always being the fixer, the one everyone runs to when their lives spiral out of control. You may start to feel as though you're responsible for their happiness, their stability, even their future. And yet, each time you step in to clean up their mess, a piece of your peace slips away. Your heart grows heavy, and you may even find yourself resenting them, or worse, resenting yourself for not being able to say no. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. But the truth is, the more you save someone from the consequences of their actions, the less likely they are to ever learn. By cushioning every fall, you might be keeping them from discovering the resilience and responsibility that adulthood demands. It's a painful realization, but sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step back and let people find their way, even if that means watching them struggle for a while. There is strength in setting boundaries. It takes courage to say, "I'm sorry, but I can't help you this time." It doesn't mean you love your child, your cousin, or your friend any less. It means you trust them enough to believe they can grow, change, and figure things out on their own. It also means you respect your own need for peace, dignity, and rest. It's important to remember that you've spent a lifetime earning your right to enjoy these years. You've worked hard, sacrificed, and put others first more times than you can count. Now, in this precious season of life, your well-being deserves to come first. You shouldn't have to live under a cloud of stress and anxiety, worried about someone else's chaos constantly intruding on your calm. Of course, this isn't easy. There's a voice in many of us, especially those who grew up valuing family above all else, that whispers, "What if they need me?" That voice can fill us with guilt, as if protecting our peace is somehow selfish. But true love is not about rescuing someone at your own expense. True love sometimes means giving people the dignity to face their own mistakes and the room to grow stronger because of it. You can support from a distance. You can offer advice, lend an understanding ear, or point them toward the resources they need. But you are not required to sacrifice your health, happiness, or home in the process. Sometimes, the only way a person learns is by having to live with the results of their choices. And sometimes, the only way you can protect your own heart is by stepping back. If you find yourself caught in this cycle, forever cleaning up the same messes, giving away money you can't spare, or sharing your home until you barely recognize it, pause and take a breath. Ask yourself, what am I giving up to keep saving this person? What would my days look like if I set clear boundaries? You might discover a new sense of freedom and relief, the kind that comes from knowing you have the right to say no. In the end, your golden years should be a time to rest, to celebrate the life you've built, and to enjoy the fruits of your labor. You deserve a home that feels like a sanctuary, a mind at ease, and a heart unburdened by the chaos of others. Don't be afraid to step back from the irresponsible people who refuse to change. Say no, not out of spite, but out of love for yourself and hope for their growth. Sometimes, letting go is the greatest gift you can give, both to them and yourself. In the journey of life, perhaps nothing tests our boundaries more than those who know exactly how to tug at our heartstrings, weaving tales of desperation or sadness, all with the hope of getting just one more favor. Manipulators can come in many forms, sometimes wearing the familiar faces of relatives, old friends, or even our children. At first, it may feel good to help. We all want to be needed, and we cherish those moments when we can lend a hand to someone going through tough times. But as the years go by, a pattern often emerges, and we begin to notice something unsettling. For some people, asking for help isn't an occasional necessity, it's their default setting, and we are always the ones being called. You may recognize this kind of person in your own life. Perhaps it's a relative who calls out of the blue, their voice trembling with the latest tragedy. A lost job, a broken relationship, a health scare that's suddenly become urgent. Their stories are convincing, heartbreaking even, and you find yourself dropping everything to help them, no matter the cost to your plans. Or maybe it's a friend who always seems to need a ride, a loan, or a sympathetic ear at the most inconvenient times. Each time you help, you hope it will be the last, but somehow their troubles never end. These people are masters at reading your compassion. They know you have a soft spot, especially for those you love, and they use it as a tool. Their favorite trick: guilt. They may say things like, "If you cared about me, you'd do this for me," or "You're the only one I have left." These words are designed to make you feel like you're failing them if you even hesitate. Before you know it, your days and energy are no longer your own. They belong to someone else's endless string of problems. At first, you might not even notice the toll it's taking. You might feel a sense of purpose, even pride, in being so reliable, so caring. But slowly, something shifts. The requests never stop coming, and you begin to feel more like a lifeline than a loved one. The weight of always being needed becomes exhausting. You may start to dread the ringing of the phone, knowing it will be another ask, another favor, another sacrifice. Resentment builds quietly in your heart, though you hardly dare admit it. After all, aren't we supposed to help those we love, no matter what? But here is a truth that only grows more powerful with age. Your kindness is a gift, not a resource to be mined until it runs dry. Being loving does not mean being endlessly available, nor does it mean sacrificing your well-being for someone else's convenience or poor planning. Manipulators count on your reluctance to say no. They count on your gentle nature and your hope that this time will be different. Yet their patterns rarely change, unless you change yours. It's not easy to set boundaries, especially when the person tugging at your heartstrings is someone close to you. The words "no" and "not this time" can feel harsh, even cruel, when delivered to a child, a sibling, or a lifelong friend. But you must remember, protecting your peace is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of self-preservation. You are not obligated to be the answer to someone else's every crisis, especially when their crises never seem to end. Think of all the times you put your plans on hold for someone else's emergencies. Think of the afternoons spent running errands, the late-night phone calls spent calming nerves, the money lent but never repaid, the emotional energy spent listening to stories that, deep down, you suspect are exaggerated or even untrue. Each time, you chip away at your reserves until there's very little left for the things and people that truly matter to you. If any of this sounds familiar, take heart. You are not alone, and you are not unkind for wanting things to change. You owe it to yourself to learn the power of a simple, firm, but gentle no. You don't have to explain, justify, or defend your decision. You can say, "I'm sorry, I can't do that today," or "I wish I could help, but I'm not able to." That is enough. The world will not fall apart because you chose to care for your own needs first. Often, manipulators will push back. They may raise their voices, shed tears, or make you feel guilty for putting yourself first. This is just another attempt to pull you back into their web. Stay strong. Each time you assert your boundary, you teach them that you are not someone to be taken for granted. With time, most people will learn to respect your limits, or they will move on to someone else. Either way, you reclaim your time, your energy, and your peace of mind. And here's what's truly beautiful. When you make space in your life by saying no to those who manipulate you, you create room for relationships that are built on mutual respect, appreciation, and genuine love. You find more time for the people who never take advantage of you, who show up when you need them, and who never make you feel guilty for protecting your happiness. So, as you move forward in this season of life, remember that your years, your days, and your heart are precious. You have earned the right to spend them as you choose, with people who bring you joy, comfort, and honest companionship. Don't let guilt, or the manipulations of others, rob you of that right. Stand firm, speak kindly, and let your no be a shield that protects your golden years. Because you deserve nothing less. As you settle into the quiet rhythms of later life, the value of meaningful conversation takes on new depth. There's a certain joy in sitting with someone who wants to hear your stories. Someone who listens not just with their ears, but with their heart. Unfortunately, not everyone is built this way. Some people, no matter how long you've known them or how closely you're related, can only see the world through their reflection. They are the self-absorbed, the narcissists, those who have mastered the art of making every moment about themselves, even when the story was never theirs to begin with. It can be a lonely feeling to sit across from a person who never really hears you. Maybe it's a sibling you grew up with, or a cousin you once shared childhood summers with. You gather together, ready to share a memory or perhaps talk about a hardship you recently overcame, hoping to feel that spark of connection. But as soon as you begin, they cut you off with a wave of their hand, eager to tell a story that outshines yours. Your quiet victory over illness is pushed aside so they can describe their own, much more difficult, recovery. Your recollection of a special vacation is swept away as they recount their latest, far grander, adventure. You offer a snapshot of your life, and before you can finish, they have already launched into another tale starring themselves. Over time, these conversations leave you feeling invisible, like your experiences are just background noise in someone else's movie. The self-absorbed person doesn't seem to notice, or perhaps they simply don't care, that you had something important to say. Your words fall to the floor, forgotten before they ever had a chance to be heard. You may leave family gatherings or coffee dates feeling smaller, as if your life, your thoughts, your joys, and struggles are somehow less significant. It's easy to start doubting yourself after enough of these interactions. You wonder if your stories are boring, or if maybe you're just not interesting anymore. But that's not the truth. The real issue is not with your stories, but with those who refuse to make room for them. Life after 65 is full of stories worth sharing. Tales of love, endurance, wisdom, and hard-won lessons that deserve an audience. Your memories are treasures, not just for you, but for those who take the time to listen. The trouble with narcissists and self-absorbed people is that they see every conversation as a stage for their performance. It's not about connecting, it's about shining. Sometimes, they might not even realize they're doing it. Other times, it's clear they simply don't value what others have to say. Either way, the result is the same. You are left feeling less than, your voice drowned out by someone else's need for attention. So what can you do in the face of this kind of behavior? For many, the natural impulse is to withdraw, to let the narcissist dominate the conversation just to keep the peace. But with each story you swallow, with each interruption you endure, you lose a bit of your joy. The good news is, you don't have to accept this dynamic. There is strength in steering the conversation back, gently but firmly reclaiming your place at the table. The next time someone interrupts you to launch into their own story, pause and say, "Wait, I'd like to finish what I was saying." You don't need to raise your voice or become confrontational. Simply remind them that your words matter too. If they truly care, they will notice your effort to be heard. And if they don't, that tells you something important about the value they place on your relationship. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. It's also okay to spend less time with people who always put themselves first. Your golden years are precious, and you deserve to be surrounded by those who value your presence and your words. Seek out friends and companions who lean in when you speak, whose eyes light up as you share a memory or tell a joke. These are the people who make space for your stories, who listen, ask questions, and remember the little details that matter most. Imagine the warmth of a conversation where you and your companion take turns, each sharing and supporting, building a tapestry of memories together. You talk about your garden, and your friend tells you about her new rose bush. You recall a lesson learned from a difficult season, and your companion nods, offering their perspective but never overshadowing yours. These moments remind you that real connection is built on mutual respect and true listening, not on competition or one-upmanship. If you've spent too much time around self-absorbed people, you might need to relearn the joy of being heard. Start small, with those you trust. Tell your stories. Share your thoughts and dreams, no matter how ordinary they may seem. And notice how good it feels when someone listens. Remember, you have a lifetime of wisdom and experiences that deserve to be shared. You've weathered storms, celebrated victories, and witnessed history. Your life matters, and your stories matter. So, as you move forward, permit yourself to gently push back against those who only want to talk about themselves. Reclaim your right to be heard, and invest your time in relationships that honor and cherish your voice. Your memories are gifts, and sharing them is part of what makes these years truly golden. Don't let anyone, no matter how loud or self-absorbed, take that away from you. Surround yourself with listeners, and watch as your sense of worth blossoms all over again. There is a quiet freedom that comes with growing older, a freedom to make choices for yourself, to enjoy your days as you see fit, and to finally put yourself first after a lifetime of caring for others. But sometimes, even in the calmest seasons of life, some voices try to shake your confidence. These are the critics, the people who always seem to find fault with what you do, how you live, or even who you are. You probably know someone like this. Maybe it's a sibling who has always made a sport of judging your decisions. They question how you spend your retirement savings, suggesting that trips to see the grandkids are a waste or that treating yourself to a new hobby is frivolous. Or perhaps it's a lifelong friend who can't help but comment on your weight every time you meet, as if your body is somehow a community project. The words may come disguised as concern, "I'm only saying this because I care," or "I just want the best for you." But underneath, they sting all the same. These criticisms don't just land on the surface. They sneak in and settle deep inside, sometimes reviving old doubts you thought you'd left behind decades ago. The worst part is that criticism rarely stops at one area of your life. Suddenly, your clothing, your home, your diet, your spending, your hobbies, all of it feels like it's under a magnifying glass. It can be enough to make you shrink away from the things that bring you joy, all to avoid another comment or raised eyebrow. But here's a truth that takes many of us a lifetime to learn. Critics say far more about themselves than they ever do about you. Their judgments are rooted not in your shortcomings, but in their insecurities. Sometimes, the person who points out your flaws is trying to feel better about their struggles. A sibling who scoffs at your travel plans may wish they had your courage or your means. A friend who fixates on your appearance might be wrestling with their worries about aging and change. When you start to look at criticism this way, it loses its power. You begin to see those pointed comments not as gospel, but as reflections of another person's fears and disappointments. It becomes easier to let them roll off your back instead of letting them soak into your spirit. You are not their opinion. You are not their anxiety. You are, and always have been, enough. Still, it can be hard to shake the habit of taking criticism to heart, especially if it comes from someone you love. Family and old friends hold a special place in our lives, and their words often carry more weight than we care to admit. You might find yourself going over conversations in your head, replaying each remark, and wondering what you could have done differently. But the only thing you truly owe yourself is peace. The next time a critic tries to chip away at your confidence, pause and ask yourself, does this person genuinely care about my happiness, or are they just feeding their own need to feel superior? If it's the latter, it's perfectly okay to protect your peace by creating some distance. You can respond with a gentle but firm, "I appreciate your concern, but I'm happy with how I'm living my life." Let that be the end of it. You don't have to justify your choices to anyone who isn't walking in your shoes. Remember, you've earned these years, every smile line, every gray hair, every dream you still want to chase. You deserve to enjoy your days without feeling the need to apologize or shrink yourself. If painting brings you joy, paint. If your heart calls you to travel, go. If you love to cook, to garden, to dance, to rest, do it without guilt, and certainly without shame. The opinions of others cannot diminish the fullness of a life well lived. If you find that criticism starts to erode your sense of joy, shift your focus to those who lift you. Spend more time with friends who celebrate your wins, big or small, and who remind you of your worth. Seek out people who see your uniqueness as a strength, not a flaw. Let their kindness be the loudest voice in your life. And when you're alone, Give yourself the compassion you so readily give to others. Speak to yourself gently. Replace the critic's words with your affirmations. I am enough. I am wise. I am worthy of happiness. Over time, you'll notice that the sting of judgment grows fainter, while your confidence grows stronger. One of the great blessings of aging is perspective. You know what matters most: health, love, purpose, and peace. The rest is just background noise. Life is too short to let anyone, no matter how close, make you doubt your value. So hold your head high, and let your choices reflect the person you have become, not the fears or shortcomings of those who haven't yet found their peace. Critics will always exist, but you don't have to let them set the tone for your golden years. Let your own heart be your compass, and move forward with grace, confidence, and joy. As you settle into the well-earned peace of your later years, you may notice that certain people seem to carry a dark cloud wherever they go. These are the chronic complainers, the ones who, no matter how good the day, always find a reason to grumble. Their voices fill the air with complaints about everything under the sun. The weather is too hot or too cold, the food is too bland or too spicy, the government is never doing enough, the world is always falling apart. You sit down beside them, hoping for a pleasant conversation, and before you know it, the mood has turned gray. We all complain sometimes. It's only human to vent now and then, especially when life throws us a curveball. But there's a difference between sharing a frustration and living in a state of perpetual dissatisfaction. Chronic complainers don't just share their worries, they build a home in them, and they want you to move in, too. Instead of looking for solutions or moments of joy, they seem to thrive on negativity. Their glass is always half empty, and they want you to see it the same way. Maybe you have a neighbor who starts every morning with a sigh about the rain, the wind, or the lack of sunshine. Or perhaps you have a friend who can't enjoy a meal without pointing out everything that's wrong with it. There's always something to pick apart. The service was slow, the bread wasn't fresh, and the coffee was too weak. If it's not the food, it's the news on TV. If it's not the news, it's the state of the world. The list is endless, and the complaints never stop. Over time, spending too much time with chronic complainers can start to wear on you. Their gloom is contagious, and if you're not careful, you'll find yourself looking for what's wrong instead of what's right. The colors of your day fade, and life begins to feel heavier. Even your good news, the new flower blooming in your garden, the visit from your grandkids, can feel smaller when met with a dismissive, "must be nice," or "that won't last." The hardest part is that many complainers aren't trying to be difficult. Some have grown so used to their disappointment that they can't imagine life any other way. Others might be lonely or afraid, and complaining is their way of reaching out for connection, even if it pushes people away. Still, their constant negativity can become a burden you shouldn't have to carry. So, what do you do when someone you care about is stuck in this pattern? The first step is to recognize the difference between offering support and becoming an emotional sponge. You can listen, you can empathize, but you don't have to absorb all their darkness. It's not your job to solve every complaint or to take on the weight of their unhappiness. Limiting your exposure to chronic complainers is not unkind, it's an act of self-care. If you know that certain conversations leave you feeling drained or down, it's okay to spend less time with those people. Life is precious, and your emotional energy is a resource worth protecting. You can choose when and how you engage, without guilt or apology. When you do find yourself in the company of a chronic complainer, try gently redirecting the conversation. If they start in on the weather, mention something beautiful you saw on your walk. If they complain about the world, share a story of kindness you witnessed recently. Sometimes, a change of subject is enough to lift the mood, if only for a moment. If not, you can politely excuse yourself or steer the talk toward something more uplifting. It's also helpful to set boundaries around what you're willing to discuss. If you know certain topics always lead to negativity, politics, health complaints, neighborhood gossip, Feel free to let your companion know you'd rather talk about something else. You might say, "I'd love to focus on some good news today," or "Let's talk about something that makes us both smile." Remember, you're not responsible for changing anyone else's outlook. You can't make someone see the silver lining if they're determined to see only the storm. But you can protect your peace by choosing not to join them in their gloom. You have the power to fill your days with gratitude, laughter, and hope, no matter what others choose. Seek out people who look for the good in life, who remind you of all the small joys still left to be found. A neighbor who celebrates a sunny morning, a friend who laughs easily, a grandchild who sees every day as an adventure. These are the people who help keep your heart light and your spirit young. When you surround yourself with those who see possibility instead of disappointment, you'll find that your world becomes brighter. Let your golden years be a time for seeking out the silver linings. When chronic complainers cross your path, wish them well, but don't let their gray skies overshadow your sunshine. Choose joy, gratitude, and hope every day, and your life will continue to bloom, no matter the weather outside. In the tapestry of life, our stories, big and small, are like threads that give color and meaning to our days. As we grow older, we naturally want to share these stories with friends and family, hoping for a little understanding, maybe even a little applause for all we've experienced. But for many, there is a particular kind of person who can drain the joy out of even our happiest memories: the one-upper. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. You know the type. No matter what you share, whether it's about a rough patch you overcame, a trip you enjoyed, or a proud moment with your grandkids, this person always has a tale that's just a little bigger, a little harder, or a little more impressive. If you talk about the cold you caught last winter, they remind you of the time they were even sicker, and no one had it worse than me. If you mention a cruise to Alaska, they'll quickly jump in with stories about their 6-week adventure through Europe and how nothing compares to the places they've seen. Show a picture of your grandchild's school award, and out come the photos of their own grandkids' shelves lined with trophies and medals. At first, it might seem harmless, just friendly conversation, maybe a little friendly competition. But after a while, you begin to notice a pattern. Every time you share a piece of your life, it gets overshadowed or brushed aside. The excitement you felt when you started telling your story fades, replaced by a sense of smallness. It's as if your joys, struggles, and victories are always coming in second place. Over time, this constant one-upping chips away at your confidence and enthusiasm. You may even find yourself sharing less, holding back on the things that make you happy, simply to avoid being outdone or dismissed. The worst part is that, after enough of these encounters, you start to question whether your own experiences are worth sharing at all. You might ask yourself, am I boring? Is my story not important? But nothing could be further from the truth. Your life is made up of unique moments that deserve to be celebrated, not compared or outshone. Each memory, each lesson learned, is a testament to your resilience and your ability to find joy and meaning, no matter what. The problem isn't your story, it's the person who can't listen without turning the spotlight back on themselves. Why do people become one-uppers? Sometimes, it's insecurity. Maybe they fear that if someone else has a special moment, it takes away from their own. Other times, they just can't resist the urge to compete, to make every gathering feel like a contest instead of a conversation. Whatever the reason, their behavior says more about them than it does about you. So what can you do when you encounter a one-upper? The most important thing is to assert your experience. When you notice your story being brushed aside, pause and gently bring the conversation back. You might say, "That sounds interesting, but I'd like to finish sharing what happened to me." There's no need to be confrontational, just confident in the value of your voice. You have the right to be heard. If the pattern continues and you keep feeling overshadowed, it's perfectly okay to spend less time with people who can't celebrate your joys. The older we get, the more important it is to fill our days with those who lift us up, not those who make us feel less than. Seek out friends and family who truly listen, who smile when you share good news, and who don't need to compete or compare. These are the people who will clap for your wins, no matter how big or small. Think of how it feels to sit across from someone who genuinely cares about your happiness. Their eyes light up when you describe your grandchild's first piano recital or your small triumph in the garden. They ask questions, laugh at your jokes, and remember your stories the next time you meet. In their company, you feel not just heard, but valued. Your life feels bigger, brighter, and infinitely more meaningful. It's also worth remembering that the stories we tell and share in our golden years are about so much more than competition. They are about connection, finding common ground, learning from one another, and building a tapestry of friendship and understanding. When you surround yourself with people who celebrate your joys, you'll rediscover the delight of telling your story, of being seen, and of seeing others in return. So, if you find yourself sitting beside a one-upper at the next family dinner or coffee date, don't shrink away from sharing your truth. Assert your experience with grace and confidence. If your story is interrupted, gently steer it back. And if the one-upper just can't help themselves, permit yourself to invest your time and heart elsewhere. Your golden years are too precious to waste on people who turn everything into a competition. You have earned the right to be heard, celebrated, and cherished. Find your tribe, the ones who applaud when you win, listen when you need to share, and know that your story matters. Because it does, now more than ever. Let your life shine, and surround yourself with those who want to see you shine, too. As we wrap up this journey together, it's clear that your golden years are meant to be filled with peace, joy, and relationships that lift you rather than weigh you down. You've spent a lifetime giving love, time, and care to others, and now it's your turn to protect your heart and your well-being. Avoiding those who drain your spirit, the ungrateful, the irresponsible, the manipulators, the self-absorbed, the critics, the chronic complainers, and the one-uppers, is not selfish. It's an essential act of self-respect and self-care. Remember, setting boundaries with calm confidence is your right. It's okay to say no, to walk away, and to spend your precious time with those who truly appreciate and celebrate you. Surround yourself with people who see your value, who listen to your stories, and who bring light to your days. Your peace is precious, and you deserve to keep it safe. If this message resonates with you, I invite you to join our community here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt stories, practical advice, and inspiring content tailored just for you. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters and can inspire others walking a similar path. Remember to like and share this video with someone who might need to hear these words today. Together, we can create a space where kindness, respect, and joy flourish in our golden years. Thank you for spending this time here. Take care of yourself, cherish your peace, and keep shining your unique light every day.